Hello, good evening, welcome. So tonight we have a very special guest, the Reverend Venerable Canon Dr. Wayne Grewcock. And some of you may or may not be aware that apparently Wayne lives somewhere in the vicinity of a large body of water. And so as we just wait for people to join us, let us enjoy the sounds of the ocean as you are welcomed to tonight's Metal Compline and the Metal Methodist Way of Life. Don't adjust your sets. It's just Wayne's shirt. It's all right. Yeah.
It's a
evening, Leslie.
It's a test card.
Hey. Oh, don't that weird puppet that used to terrify me. It really was. It's like that and Professor Yakov out of and Moomins. Hello, Leslie. Hello, Joyce. Who else we got? Who else have I seen? We've had a delivery of poo emojis from Harry. Thank you very much. Hello, Catherine. Hello, Rachel. Hello, Stephen. I hope if you are commuting back, I hope you're okay. And yes, those pesky tunnels aren't a problem. So, a warm welcome to Metal Compline. 2 days and 2 guests. Wow. 2 nights of incredible wise wisdom and sharing from guests, not me. So, for those of you who don't know, this is Wayne. And well, I'll let Wayne introduce himself. So off you go, Wayne. Ah! That's very close to the sea.
So I'm Wayne. I'm a minister down on the sea in Devon. If it wasn't dark, I could say the sea is 100 meters straight down the garden from my manse. I'd just like to remind James of that.
Thank you.
So I'm Wayne. I've been here down in Devon near Exmouth for the last 2 years. And previous to that, I was in Yorkshire. Yorkshire, where they grow the tea, for the previous 17 years.
By the licorice fields of Pontefract.
Absolutely. So, yep, I run 12 Baskets, which is a resource sharing website. That's the Worship Cloud, as you can see on the screen now. Yeah, that's a bit of an introduction.
Cool. So as Catherine's just pointed out, it's a Wayne. Yeah, not only that, it's a Wayne's world. It's excellent. Party on, Wayne.
Thank you, Garth.
Yep. Ah, dear. Oh, I'm gonna have to watch that tonight now. Oh dear. Oh, there we are. So we've mentioned Yorkshire, but Stephen's just reminding us the other God's country, God's county of Cornwall. But just not far enough. Yes, there we go.
Yeah. And let's not get into on scone debate either.
No, he needs to do penance now for having spent that amount of time in Yorkshire before he goes to any more of God's countries. That's what it is. What? Harry says he's well jealous about the sea. Yeah, well, I was talking to Wayne about Harry the Seagull.
Yes.
Harry. Yeah, and I think Harry is visiting Wayne because it sounds like he's in his study. It was if you listen, yeah.
In fairness, we have Jimmy Carr the Seagull. So quite often, if I'm sort of working in the lounge, a seagull sits on top of the chimney and literally does that.
Yeah, no.
Down the chimney and in the fire and into my living room.
Fantastic. I do hope that, sort of, there's sort of prayer meetings at the manse where we just have a quiet moment and Jimmy Carr the Seagull gives it one down the chimney. Fantastic.
Absolutely.
Oh, brilliant. So, I mean, we've been chatting and keeping in touch throughout all of this. So I was just going to ask, how has the COVID experience been for you, for your churches, for the community? How have things been?
Okay. Quite fascinating, really. So obviously, well, not obviously. So I am the minister of 3 churches in 4 buildings and quite elderly, like a lot of Methodist churches, quite elderly congregation. As we were going into lockdown, my solution to try and sort of give them some spiritual input was to write a cut down scripted service. Helped because via 12 Baskets, the Worship Cloud, we already produced the Vine, which is a full scripted service that we've been doing for 3 years. And Tim, blessed of the baker and all we can, who helps edit, we just had an idea. Let's really shrink it, cut it down, make it available for home use. Because actually I could then post it out to all of my people. So that was the start of what turned into a manic sort of beginning of lockdown. I posted that or emailed it out to all of my people. And my little chapel in Lympstone just said, this is brilliant. Couldn't we have a Zoom coffee together after we've all read this at home, having never done a Zoom before?
Right, excellent.
Yeah. So this is the very first Sunday. We'd all got the same script. I'd encouraged us all to say, let's just pray this together wherever we are at 10:30. They came straight on and said, let's have a Zoom. Hi, Matt. So we did that. And that same little chapel, 15, 20 of us, said in the next week, why can't we say this together on Zoom? So we did. The third week, they said, so why aren't you inviting anybody else to
it? Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And actually, we just started to build. We hadn't done it. But what for me was fabulous was there was a real tolerance and a desire to learn and experience. Okay. Yeah. And just really going, wow, none of us have got a clue what we're doing. So let's just be brave. Let's give it a go. Let's learn from it. I got into a whole process of Monday and Tuesday. I would just randomly ring people who had been at the service and said, just let's talk it through. Yeah. How was this for you? What could we do better? What would we do different? and just built up that sort of ethos of growing and learning together. And that's just grown and grown and grown. And then, like a lot of those things, more people came involved. We went live on Facebook to solve a technical problem.
Right.
For me, that was a massive step for me. Yeah. I really felt like Wesley, you know, when he had to preach outdoors, and that was the vilest thing.
Yeah.
That was exactly how I felt, because all of a sudden, it's great doing it in a building. It's great doing it on Zoom just to your people.
Yeah.
Facebook's a wild world out there. And so we've just grown. And again, from day one, the fabulous thing is because we've not had a plan.
Okay.
We've not had a meeting about it. You know, so in good Methodist tradition, we've not had a meeting about the meeting to get ready for the meeting.
We pray for you.
Exactly.
I reported to the General Secretary, you know.
Absolutely. There wasn't even a tea rota. We just sort of went, let's do this, let's discover, and let's reflect and refine afterwards. And it doesn't belong to one church. It belongs to anybody and everybody that turns up. And that's then evolved into us realizing there's this no more than you've done, James, here. There's this whole community.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. That are this gathered community. I think that led me to reflections about how parochial we are in our churches. We get so sort of into just looking a little bit beyond our borders, where actually for me, lockdown has literally opened up the whole world.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And how people, I think also, I mean, so what, this is my 24th year as a minister, and it felt like you were never supposed to poach anybody from another church. I'd always had that sort of semi-ingrained. You build up your people, everybody else. And I found this immensely freeing. You know, it's not poaching anybody. It's just people finding their way to like-minded people for spiritual support and community.
So I was going to say, do you then feel, because I know what you've kind of shared, because you very kindly asked me to come and take part in one of the services during my sabbatical, at which point that for me was a moment where I personally realised, having just started my sabbatical and not been in a position to do anything about it for 3 months, was whoa, I've been doing it wrong. Or there's a better way of doing it, you know, which is the Zoom thing. It was that moment of just fellowship, a deep fellowship, of sharing with people that I've never met, and that sort of to experience that hospitality in a breakout room from different churches, then to then discover that actually they didn't necessarily know each other that well prior to this, and they're in different churches. We could all see each other's houses. We're all talking about which coffee we've had, and then discovering that actually not only were people, because I think I went something where I went slightly off script, and people had read it in advance of the service, were reading along whilst I was talking, and were annotating kind of extra things that were said, and then would go back and watch the video again. So I mean, do you think, despite this, all the challenges for all of us in many ways of this pandemic, that actually in a way that only God can do, actually this is deepening our discipleship?
Completely that. Again, I used to be accused of writing my sermon as I walked up the pulpit steps. Yeah, which
that's
was
early.
Yeah, because that's interesting, because I never even used pulpit steps, so I don't know what they actually thought of my sermons. But again, I like to. You've done the research, but hey, on the day you just go for it. So again, from a discipline point of view, to actually, it's really rocked me, because actually I have to pre-think, and with Tim and the Vine people, sometimes that's done 2, 3, 4 weeks before. Yeah, we refine it on the week it goes out. But then on Tuesday morning, I print with my little team all the versions that have got out into the post. It's done, it's sealed,
Mm.
and they are reading it. So many people are reading it. So again, within the church context, and as those of us who are preachers, not only is there a discipline, but you are now, people have the ability to arrive at the service in a way that they've never been so prepared. They know what you're going to say. Yeah. The preaching bit then comes when you deliver it, because I mean, again, you went well off script, but
It's not like me at all.
never. It's like these fully scripted Metal Methodist sessions you do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But that's what really then brings it alive. Yeah. That's when it's actually, yes, it's a script, yes, it's thought through, but the Spirit is really there working in. And so they've never been so well equipped. Yeah, in that they have the physical copy, they are annotating it, and are just amazed at where the ad libs and all of that is happening. So yeah, I do. I think that whole way of discovering there are different ways to worship than. And if we'd have had a meeting, and again, this isn't a unique comment, but if in February we'd have written down 3/4 of what we're currently doing, you wouldn't have got anywhere.
No.
Because we wouldn't have believed it, and nobody would have accepted it.
Yeah. So again, I think part of the reason for wanting to have this conversation with you was, my sense that from hearing from people like you and others, that despite all this challenging stuff, actually, even through that, particularly as we journey towards the start of Advent, and that sense of looking for light and of new birth and new life, and how we are part of that light through who we are and what we say and what we do and all those things. Yeah, this sense that despite what feels like the darkness of this pandemic, actually God is doing something new with so many of us. I was wondering, does it ever feel slightly, people know what you've got to say and they've had time to think about it and come up with sort of those challenging theological questions that they're going to throw at you in the middle of a live Zoom service out onto Facebook and YouTube, whereas normally you could just buy time, shaking hands at the door and say, I tell you what, I'll give you a ring. I'll give you a ring. Like, go and ask somebody who knows that answer, because then I normally ring you. So has that happened, or is it?
No. I mean, it hasn't happened. I mean, in fairness, they sort of know what I'm going to say, or the guests, but they don't know what we're going to say. We developed it this week. Tim wrote the reflection in the Vine at home this week, and it was a really hard, punchy look at racism and Black Lives Matter, and a real fascinating twist of the sheep and goats from Matthew. And in fairness, with my editor's head on, I really wrestled whether that was a bit too hard, but decided no, we have to be brave sometimes, and so we went with it. But with my minister's head on, I asked one of my members to lead that reflection, because Ali's very passionate about racism and the prejudice side of it. Yeah. And actually, so they got the script, Ali ad-libbed, they're sort of used to that. But then I came in after that reflection with my minister's hat on. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And it was a fascinating style thing, but it was way more than that. That actually you can refer to and reference, and take in a very different direction. So again, in a normal service, you don't have the ability to do that. No. I think also one of in these, as you say, dark times, it is the fascinating time. My little chapel at Lympston, by the summer, were saying to me, I think I've seen a comment in the comments, we're not going to stop these online, are we? Yeah. We're not going to get rid of these. They have decided to become a church without a building.
Right. Wow. Well, because that was the other reason for the comment. I mean, again, it's the fact that it's kind of, it feels like it's grown organically. And does that mean we've been more open to the Spirit because we haven't had those meetings where our rationality, which is also the God-given gift, and part of the way we do our theology as Methodists, our reason, but also sometimes, we can talk ourselves out of it and overthink it, can't we? And sometimes it just feels like there's a willingness, something has moved within your churches and folk there, and it might seem like a risky thing, but actually people are willing to go with it and kind of see where the Spirit leads, which is amazing.
Yeah, I think also, and so again, James experienced this, and I opened the Zoom room at 10:15, for a 10:30 service, and there just gets this growing, excitable cacophony of people, that aren't young. I think the most senior member is 91, and we've taught her how to use Zoom, and there is an excitement amongst them to actually be in worship. They might not have made the physical effort that they used to, but they've made a huge technological effort to be there that day. Yes, let's not let's not diminish that.
No.
So they've all made a conscious effort to try this new thing. So they actually arrive, I believe, at worship in a wholly different mindset and spiritual sort of place. Okay. They're eager to experience where we are. So I think one of the most critical comments I've had is that, so I've not worn a collar at all. That's not been an issue. We've had, Matt Beckingham we use his video, so musically we've had it very different. But I have had a few comments that they've never seen a minister drink Yorkshire tea during a service before.
Oh, there is no other tea. Yeah,
there isn't.
Sorry, Cafe Direct is very good tea.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tea Direct. But it'd be good to hear more about kind of the Limpster thing in terms of how's so like that came, the idea of perhaps being a church without a building, that's come from people, and there's been other opportunities that have opened up in terms of actually joining with perhaps what God is doing outside and serving the community in a different way.
Yeah, I mean, they're an astonishing group of people. Their services were different anyway. It was very interactive, a lot of really good discussion, quite informal worship. And I'd actually been working with them. I'm on a course for the Methodist Church called Weird Church. Fabulous book that really starts to look at how church might be able to be different. And one of the key things it says in there is that look for the spiritually bright-eyed people. Well done. There's the plug for that, Weird Church. Yeah. So look for the spiritual bright-eyed people. And they were in Lympstone. They are in Lympstone. There are other places. And so we've been looking for a good 6 months to say, well, where is God calling us? Yeah. What could church be? What should church be? And we'd been looking at setting up a community cafe, but could never quite get it there. But we had a real desire and passion to look at serving in a very different way. By June, July, they're talking about, we're not sure we need this building. It's a millstone. It's costly. We don't need it. Right. And we kept meeting, kept spinning ideas, and then all of a sudden, we put the idea to one of my bigger churches in Budley to look at running a community cafe there. Again, right. It's not new. It's not rocket science. Mm-hmm. We're working with a community interest company who train people with learning disabilities. And we launched it on the 5th of October, having only had agreement 4 weeks before from the church council.
Wow.
Yeah. So I dropped the idea in discussion at the end of August. In August, they gave permission at the beginning of September. We opened the doors on the 5th of October. And actually in that first month, we had 1,100 customers through the door.
Good grief.
Yeah. No advertising. I mean, again, you might have heard earlier on, we do live very close to the sea.
Oh, right. Okay.
But we're a small town. And we were just looking at how we can love people, how we can welcome people, no matter who they are, no agenda. Just, hey, just come and have a chat. Just come and have a cup of tea. Sit quietly, have a chat. The ethos is different because actually it is different. Yeah. We've got a lot of detail to work out because I'm not a detail person at all. But actually we've stumbled across this whole new way for us of being church and doing mission. And again, I think that's part of my reflection of this 8-9 months. The threshold has been lowered. Online, you put it on Facebook. I'm sure tonight there are people watching regularly who are just there in the background. They never let you know who they are, but we can see the viewing figures. They are there. Yeah. And I think I've got a glimpse of maybe a way of doing church, being community. That can be physical, it can be online, doesn't matter where you are. But hey, if you find brothers and sisters who have a similar Christian spirituality or not, then come and have a cup of tea.
No, that's fantastic. So again, just looking back at excuse me, some of the comments, and thank you for those. I think so. Yeah, Rachel agreeing that we should carry on with the online stuff because it can reach far more many people that way. And as Stephen points out, actually, what's really helpful is if you work shifts or in a pattern that means, you know, and I've had this from a colleague who works for the police in one of my churches, who's going, it's great. I can come to church every week or every day or whatever. I can join in stuff that I couldn't before, and it'd be, you know, a month sometimes. And for people who, you know, are in a relationship and they work different shifts, actually, the moment when we are together, we can do that. We can be part of this together as well as joining with other people. So again, does that again? It does. It provide an opportunity for us to deepen our discipleship and sharing with each other.
I think also we again, none of this is new, but I have people who physically are unable to get into a building. Yeah, and you know, whether that through illness or infirmity or whatever. And for me, that's why I'm keen. The written service must continue because that gives access to people. Yeah. I'm actually using Zoom, Facebook, being phone in on Zoom. It just means people can be part of that spiritual family way longer than I think we've ever done.
Yeah.
And it's live interaction. A CD is great, and that is good. But how much better that at 10:30 they're joining everybody else?
Yeah.
How much better than when the service ends, I throw them randomly into a chat group.
Yes. Yeah.
So they can't just pick and choose their favourites. You bung them in randomly, and hey, 9 times out of 10, fellowship is just there, and friendship and support and all sorts of connections and support because we're doing it in a different way.
Oh, that's helpful, Stephen. Saying you're not wrong, Wayne. You're not wrong, Wayne. Thank you, Garth. One of his bosses told him that their local church had an online service, and he watched it on Sunday. You thought it was boring, but actually it was really good, and you would never have walked in there. But once this is over, you may go. That's amazing, Stephen. Thank you for sharing that as well. That's really encouraging. And again, I think certainly for me, I'll own it. You know, I definitely see going forward, personally wanting to continue this. And I think as Wayne has said, it's actually, actually, because it's not virtual worship, it is worship. It's just online, just whether it's in print, whether it's dial a prayer, dial a sermon, whatever. And the inclusivity that can bring, and like you say, for people who've not been able to get for ages, actually, we've learned so much. Let's keep this going. And because why would we not try and communicate and share with as many people in as diverse way as possible? It just seems that's what we're called to do. So yeah, fantastic. So I mean, that's really, really helpful and exciting and encouraging. So again, I just think how in our own context, wherever we are, how are we being open to new things that God might be doing or calling us to be joining in with, even if it seems challenging. That actually, kind of the story from Wayne has reminded us that, it's like journeying through Advent. We're waiting for new life, and there are signs of that. There are signs of that kingdom and God at work. And so let's take the risk, as inspired by colleagues and brothers and sisters down south, apparently by the sea, to do that, to take that risk, and to share our stories as well. And I think that's the great thing about the Methodist way of life being used in various places and online. We can more of us hear these stories through that as well as we share. And obviously, people kind of watching may notice that we have slightly different sartorial style. I'm just waiting for a Catherine comment on that one. So I think we also have fairly, well, I don't know, maybe slightly different tastes in music. But I think we both are people who like music with a message. So is that fair? And if so, for people looking for music with a message, who kind of floats your boat?
Obviously, there's Glee. I take a lot of inspiration from Glee. Wayne Whitaker, Daniel O'Donnell, inspirational characters. I think. Seriously, no. I have got some sort of rock credentials. I said to James.
Oh look, I've had to remove Wayne. He mentioned Daniel O'Donnell. Oh no, he's back.
Yeah, there's the New Seekers, and other. Joe Dolce.
Don't get me started on the Spinners.
Yeah, the Spinners, Joe Dolce, Rennie and Renata. This is all part of my musical history.
Well, it's all in the past then. That's good.
It is. My first gig, age 14, was Rainbow at Leicester Democracy Hall. So I get some credentials there. I tell you who I'm listening to a lot at the moment. Yeah, Martin Joseph for me is just a constant.
Definitely.
I just find him more and more stunning, and even more inspirational live. I think if you ever can go and just see one of his, he's been with him sort of for a long time. There's a track I keep coming back to, which is very different in style. Is Gregory Porter.
Okay. Yeah.
And Take Me to the Alley. Where he just paints the picture of, and if you ever get to hear him speak about it, how his mum was a pastor, and how it was about a servant ministry that the whole family had to be involved in. And the story sort of paints a picture of, I think he based it on the Pope going, and where everything smells of fresh paint, and they've prepared all the nice places and people for him to go to. And he says, yeah, but I want to go to the alley.
Right.
I want to go to where the broken people are. So for me, I think my music style is eclectic. And depends what mood I'm on, what I'm driving. That's just. And then the last one that I've picked up on recently are Celtic worship.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I first came across them when there was we were all listening to those blessings videos, and they did a Celtic version. And
carry on, Wayne. It's Hill from Whitman. Make us a cup of tea and start talking Celtic. Carry on.
Wow. Thank you, James. Yeah, they for me, there's a new album that's just about to come out, and they've taken a lot of old traditional hymns, but then just interpret them. Yeah, and again, they've just been stunning for me. Just a different style, but with just that message to just reflect.
Yeah. No, thank you. I've just put Joyce's comment up. That's again, Joyce. That's just blows my mind to hear. Bless you for sharing. Somebody. Sorry, I was about to get a bit sort of Michael Heseltine about it and get my shotgun out at seagulls. No seagulls were harmed in the making of this metal Compline. So Joyce is saying just before the lockdown, she decided she was never going back to church again. But having seen online services, you felt encouraged to go back, and you're happy in a new church. That's amazing, Joyce. And like Wayne, you live by the sea.
There's my way.
There we are. So, Joyce, do you have a seagull that serenades you through your chimney pot? Is it Alan Carr? Who knows? If Wayne's got Jimmy Carr, maybe you've got Alan Carr. I don't know. If you hear one going smashing super great, that's one from Yorkshire. And Stephen is also agreeing that by the sea is a place to be. Lived in London for 5 years and couldn't stand it. Right, so he moved to Dover a year ago. Still working in London, commuting 5 hours a day, but it's worth it. That's to kind of make that again. Talking about kind of perhaps doing stuff that sounds a bit risky or something courageous, or stepping out in terms of faith or service, or actually, again, within the Methodist way of life, actually self-care. If we know something is good for our soul, then that's to take the step to do it. That's awesome, Stephen. Thank you. Meanwhile, Tim Baker thinks that he's accidentally stepped into a TARDIS. And we're back in Methley in 1997. For those who don't know, Method's in Yorkshire. Oh, here we are. Ari's confused. Why is someone's mum made of pasta? Why is Gregory Porter's mum made of pasta?
Yeah.
She is a pastor.
Pastor. Yeah.
As in a vicar, Ari. Like me, and wears a dress, but only at weekends. Joyce says, seagull update from Joyce. Seagulls fly over your garden every evening at 4:15, and you can set your clock by them. Wow, I'd be setting my catapult by them. No, sorry, no. All of God's creatures. I'll get my St. Francis on. Oh, wow. No, see, I'm not sure. I don't know. I think staying in Whitby is probably enough for me, but I think by the end of the week, the seagulls are doing my head in. No.
Well, actually, there is another hazard to the seagulls in Budley.
Right.
They are very fond of the local crab.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and it isn't unknown for you to have a ex-crab shell land on you.
There's a pincer in my eye. Just make sure to remove the crab stick from your brother's or sister's eye before removing the crab shell from your own. Wow, that's lethal. Do you all know where you have to all... So, Stephen, Wayne, and Joyce, you people by the sea, do you all walk around with like hard hats on, or what's the statistics on this? I want to know how many hospitalizations happen due to kind of seagull bird related randomness falling out the sky. That's wow. Oh, here we are. Good man, Stephen. Stephen agrees that a Cornishman who has lost more than one pasty to a seagull, a catapult is a good idea. Yes, yeah. I lost my entire battered sausage to a seagull in Bridlington one year. I'd not touched it. I stuck my fork in the middle of it, going in for it, and it just went. Oh dear. And then I got told off for feeding the seagull. I think I didn't feed it. It really nicked me sausage. Seagulls, bad for your sausage.
They are.
Terrible. But yeah. Is there anything else you want to get across to us, Wayne?
No. I think it's about building community, and I think what you do here, what many people are doing, again, I'm just reflecting on what Joyce said. There's the previous way doesn't work for a lot of people. We're closing many churches. We're wrestling with what that means, and it's not that it's good. It's not just what a lot of people are after, and this, I think, has given us an insight. Yeah, and I think this allows a conversation, which is what Ian was telling us last night.
Yeah.
This is the place that it's not a polemic. It's not the experts, dictating and dominating. It's a place for us to draw alongside, to share, to learn, You know, as you do, share the good, commiserate when it's not so good, but actually together we're all learning in this. And the lower the threshold, the better for us to join in.
Yeah. I mean, I was at a Methodist Way of Life event this afternoon, and yeah, just kind of we're talking about use of Methodist Way of Life, perhaps in with people in places that are people described, to use the jargon, I suppose, people they describe as de-churched. So people have been in part of a church community, perhaps a physical church community, and it hasn't been for them, or they were made to feel it wasn't for them, maybe. And that actually sharing these questions, and particularly with people who've never really engaged with them, but might describe themselves as thinking and spiritually open and just exploring stuff, the willingness, and this, I think, what this brings, this sort of platform and the interaction, is a place for actually God to speak through those people back to what is the inherited church community, and for us, please God, to have grace and to learn and to perhaps become more like the body of Christ, which is a kind of a living thing of connected people in community, than something we perhaps sometimes can passively partake of on a Sunday morning. And that's just me preaching. I passively preach. I just, well, it's on the screen.
But it also demonstrates, and again, bigging you up, but the fact that actually...
No, carry on.
Yeah, no, I will, but I won't talk about your beard. It's a gateway. It's an avenue to show that actually we are interested in many styles of music. That actually none of us are the same. We're mad, wild, diverse, with a whole spectrum. So they have things in common with us. We all have things. We all drop our prejudices, which fly around all over the place.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you. We got just one more question. It has been answered, but Ari, who sent us several poo emojis at the start of this, has been back in to want to know, how many times do you get pooped on? Apparently, you see, just Ari asking again, but we've all got to take it on trust that it is actually Ari and not Catherine asking. Joyce's verdict is quite a lot. So I've now got a vision of everybody by the sea walking around with hats on and sort of Macs. Like, you may just move to Manchester, really.
Windscreen wipers.
Okay.
In fairness, or Catherine, as we shall call tonight,
yes.
My cars have been just obliterated. I actually haven't been. I've been here 26 months now. But
don't speak too soon.
But I did once walk into a meeting and realised there was seagull poop on the end of my shoe.
Oh, right.
So somehow, as I'd been walking, it just caught the end of my shoe.
Wow.
But that's the risk, because, again, if I hadn't said, I do live by the sea.
Well, yes. No, this is true. And I'm glad. I think I know you for a while now, and I hadn't picked that up. So that's helpful. Oh dear. Thank you, Wayne, so much. Bless you. And keep in touch. And as things develop, if you want to come back and share, other excitingness as it happens again, because it's just if we can share these stories. And again, I think with some things in church life, again, I'm not meaning to be critical, but I think sometimes we hear about things and go, "Oh, great." Or we go on a course and people talk about stuff they're doing. You think, right, great, that's what I need to do because it will result in this. And actually, no, because it's all about context and it's about community. And that's what Wayne shared with us. That's what Ian was sharing last night in terms of, pioneer ministers and the context. I just pray that these conversations just help us and inspire us to just be open to God where we are, wherever that is, and to be part of that bit kingdom building where we are. So. Thank you. I shall say good night and love to Mrs. G.
Farewell from the deep south.
Where is it? Is that by the sea? Yeah. See you later. Thank you. Bye. I'm going to turn the contrast back up on my screen now. Bye. Whoa, the strobing. Oh, it's like waves on the. Yeah. See ya. Bye. Thank you, Wayne. Bless you. So, shall we gather as we just continue to reflect on some of what Wayne shared? If you want to carry on talking, that's absolutely fine. That's not the gathering, is it? No.
As moon rises, the sun slips sight. Begins the ritual of this night. For those convinced their path is right. Gathered from north, south, east and west, yet called at another's behest. Those treading the path that is left. From near and far, come as you are to this place and embrace this space as darker hue embraces you. Of water, spirit, earth and fire.
Hello,
Hugh.
I've tried to do a Cornish accent, sort of Devonshire accent. That went badly, I'm sorry. Hello, Hugh. That's back from Yorkshire.
Sensing that we are not alone, drawn to the flame that guides us home. For here, you, me, and yet to be. Importance and signs of these times, for the sake of all those maligned, is yet the home of the divine.
So let's just pardon the pun, but let's just bottom out this seagull issue. See what I did there. So Catherine was saying, the reason I was asking that it's true. When we're on holiday, when we're allowed to go on holiday, Ari likes the seaside, but is just a little bit fascinated and wary of seagulls flying overhead and plopping on him, and looks at every lamppost before he walks under it. Yes. So Catherine suggested taking an umbrella next time. Which Joyce thinks is a good idea, because last week she had it all over a coat. And Stephen has been on the receiving end more times than he can count, which may explain why they were called bombers for a reason when he was little. Wow. Yeah. So, how has your day been? As we look back and perhaps gather thoughts, catch on to something, maybe more than one thing that's been good, life-giving, life-affirming, hopeful, made our soul sing this day, put us in touch with a sense of something bigger than ourselves. These lyrics, as we go into our Tusentag for tonight: fresh air is greeting me as I am feeling weak, giving me strength to carry on. Wind brings me a lease of life. Rain is a sacrifice. I found a place where I belong. And hopefully, especially for those who perhaps have not been part of physical church communities or had not great experiences, hopefully this and other online places are places where you do feel you belong. And it is awesome to be with you like this. It's great. Thank you. I'm going to play some. Those lyrics even were from Witch Hazel and the song Barrow Hill. Don't forget, tonight at 10 o'clock, Colin from Witch Hazel is at gimmemetal.com doing a DJ set. Let's think about things that have encouraged us, uplifted us this day, while we raise our hands in thankfulness and generally rock out to this stonking tune by Stairway. Yeah, no, you're right, Graham. I think because chatting with somebody next to you earlier on called Wayne put me back into the sort of early 90s. Hence, I came out with the word stog king. I do apologise. It is not stog king. It is storming. It is amazing. So I do apologise for describing your awesome music with with a 1980s weird word. Oh, good grief! Especially as that album and that song is from 2016. Yeah, my bad. Sorry. And also, Leslie, lots of birthday messages for Leslie. So we need to sing "Happy Birthday" to Leslie, and you won't be saying thank you in a minute, Leslie. So the special metal happy birthday just for you. Do sing along at home, wherever you are, whether you're in a train or sat next to somebody, especially if they're not watching and you're just suddenly going to burst into singing happy birthday or without washing your hands to justify it as well. That would be... Thank you, Graham. You're so gracious. Bless you. Yeah. So here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. That was the special death metal Compline. Happy birthday for Leslie. And also, we choose attack with Tim as after the conversation about seagulls. Tim has shared that how has his day been? Well, nothing has defected on your head, so all good. So like, hey, I'm an American seagull from the Cold War, and I have defected to the Russians during this Cold War because we're using 1980s language like stunking. And now I am Sergei, the Russian seagull. I have defected, but not on Tim Baker's head. No. Yeah. But hey, I'd rather have something defect than defecate, especially if it defecated in a defective way. Ugh. Anyway, just lowering that tone. Yeah. No, it was an excellent typo. I loved it. Thanks, Tim. Wow, you get Leslie. You've got a happy birthday for Mr. Graham Leslie of Stairway, rock legend. There we go. How awesome is that? Screenshot it, print it, put it on your wall. Yes. So let's offer our Tucson Tackness in a moment of quasi almost power metal as we say together, Tucson Tack. Well, in many ways, the use of a seagull as a hat would be a good use for a seagull, in my humble opinion. You might have actually use the catapult first, though. Sorry, no, I love seagulls. No, I don't. But I don't resent them either. I'm not condoning violence towards anything or anybody or any animal. But if only Noah hadn't taken him on the ark, eh? Which reminds me, if you do find yourself in need of an ark, I know a guy. So there may be things today that we want to lay down as well, and we can do that as we share together in these words.
The principalities and will to power, the worms from within my own darkest hour. I confess all the regrets and the regrets, the burdens and fears, the lament and the tears. I lay them down.
And Jesus says to each of us, "Come to me, all who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest." And whatever this day has been, may you know that rest. And these words from the seventh angel in the song Lamentations: "Did you leave me here all alone? Crown my head with tears, love unknown. Climb these narrow stairs with me. We shall cast our cares into the sea." And hopefully we've managed to cast them off for this evening. Choose and tech from Rachel. Your employer consulting on redundancies. Oh, not a choose and tech at all. Oh dear, a laying down of your employer consulting on redundancies because they're moving lots of jobs to South Africa. Rachel, I'm very sorry to hear that, and just prayers for you during that process. That through it all, you may just have a sense of peace with God. So following on from our discussion with Wayne and also from with Ian last night, and this idea of who we are made to be in God, our passions, our interests, how we might use them, allow God to use them, and allow God to call us into trying something different, something new. Maybe if that feels slightly risky, but kind of being willing to do it because God has entrusted that continuing mission of Christ to us. And that includes you, no matter what you think of yourself or what other people have said. This is the truth. And it says so here in the Metal Bible from Matthew 5 at verse 14-16. "You are the light of the world, like a city on a hilltop that cannot be hidden. No one lights a lamp and then puts it under a basket. Instead, a lamp is placed on a stand where it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your good deeds shine out for all to see, so that everyone will praise your heavenly Father." So as we think about that and how, especially as we enter this season of Advent, a season when we are kind of recognizing darkness and looking for light, that reading reminds us that we are light. So how can we be light in the darkness of these times, inspired by some of the things that Ian shared last night and that Wayne shared this evening? And kind of, just joining in with God out of who we are, and be willing to I don't know, to be a bit courageous and to go for it. Let's have a think. Love to hear your thoughts or your responses to that reading or anything else, and anything else we want to also just offer for prayer tonight as well. So we do that. So chance to think and to comment while we listen to this. Again, I suppose it's a song about light and us being part of light in darkness, because as we've reflected on several times in Psalm 139, darkness is as light with God. So how might all things be seen as God being in them, and how might we try and see with heaven's eyes?
Realistic, dark and light, feeding the demon of our wide. Power in the narrative told, hatred, cancer, takes its hold. It's all the same to you. Our eyes are not your truth. Day turns into night, and I have no need of light. They are one with you, one with you. you throw in litany just fuels the fire that's within me. It's all the same to you. Our lies are not your truth. Day turns into night, and I have no need of light. They are one with you, one with you. When I'm sinking in this fire, and I have no need of right, I have one with you, and you will see this through. I rail against injustice. I stand to ask why must this be? Pharisaic narrow truth, another nail to make you Day turns into night, and I have no need of light. They are one with you, one with you. When I'm sinking in this fire, and I have no need of right, I have one with you. When day turns into night, and I have no need of light, they are one with you, one with you. When I'm sinking in this fire, and I have no need of right, I have one with you, and you will see this
So no, thank you, Leslie. That you read the same passage, Matthew 5, 14 to 16, but read it on bonfire night. Yeah, fantastic, during prayers. Wow, yeah, what a great reading for bonfire night. Do you know, I never thought of that. Oh, thank you, Leslie. I'll quote you next year when I remember to do it, hopefully. But asking people in response to reading to consider how they might be a sparkle or a light to others during the pandemic. Which reminds me of a little song we could sing. Sparkle and shine. It's about time I watched all the nativity films again. Oh yes, but in a metal way. Sparkle and shine. All right. Oh, cheers, Peter. That's sounds a bit like Black Sabbath. Cool, nice one, man. Oh, I wish, but thank you, dude. That's amazing. Yeah. So, how might we be light? So maybe just offer that in prayer as we pray for the announcements about coming out of lockdown, the bubbles that we're allowed to have for Christmas, and just what that means in terms of being allowed to have them, but is it necessarily sensible or safe given our own situations, and wisdom in all of that. Continuing to pray for those concerned about the consequences in terms of especially those working in the NHS, but for all of us who've finding this tough, that through each other we might be light, and as Leslie said, sparkle with light and love and hope for each other. And in the words of that hymn, brother, sister, let me serve you. I will hold the nighttime for you. I will hold the Christ light for you in the nighttime of you fear. I will hold my hand out to you. Speak the peace you want to hear. And brother, sister, let me serve you. May I be as Christ to you. May I have the grace to let you be my servant too. So may we receive that light from others as we seek to share that light with others too. Yeah, thank you, Peter. Loving. Sorry, Stephen. Sorry, I'll put my glasses on. Sorry. Love the idea of Jesus being light in the darkness. So much so you have John 15 tattooed on your forearm. The light. Oh, that's my favorite Bible passage, along with Jesus wept. Stephen, that's amazing. Right. Because I know Rick sent us a photo of his. He got the left his quadrilateral on his arm. Amazing. But yeah. Well up for tattoo pics. Because I still haven't got permission from Catherine to have a tattoo. Still not get any cash in my tattoo fund. But never mind. That's awesome. Yeah. And I think, maybe live that out. Maybe be Christ in that way for others, even in the darkness, because the darkness cannot extinguish it. Amen. And Peter, I've been collecting food bank stuff to give to neighbours and friends. Thank you. That's amazing. And as I said yesterday, Christmas hampers for people. Yeah. And I said yesterday I was at Parson Cross Initiative here in Sheffield at the food share kind of distribution. And yes, it is the food. The fact it's affordable and nutritious, and it's done sustainably. But also, especially during these times, the fact that for some people it was a chance to have a conversation with people, sometimes the first time in days. And I was hearing just on the radio, people were talking about these bubbles for Christmas. What does it mean? Someone saying that they have some neighbours nearby who are on their own, so their tradition is to invite those people round. And this year they've got to make a choice between either bubbling with their family and seeing them, which means these good friends and neighbours are going to be on their own, and they're trying to work out what for them is the right thing to do. So I guess praying for those trying to work stuff like that through, and especially for anybody feeling this is a whole load of pressure and potential people to upset. Well, others might rejoice that there's people that you can say, "Hey, I'm going to see you," but it comes with pressure as well, doesn't it? So just prayers for all of us working through that. Tim's working on the Big Church Sing and the after party, all of which will be online this Sunday. Excellent. Hoping that time of online worship and laughter can be a light for people. Yes. And if that after party is anything like the last one, had me in absolute stitches. Matt Forsyth needs his own television program. So are you front of camera this time, Tim, or are you behind it? And if you have not been to the Big Church Sing, then please do head over to, Tim will correct me, the Methodist Church YouTube channel. So YouTube Methodist Church, and afterwards at the Facebook page of www.allwecan.org.uk. Thank you. Yes, we do. We'll do all we can. Yeah, that's kind of all we can do. All we can do. It depends where you put the emphasis, isn't it? We can do all we can do. We can do all we can do. And do all we can do, and where you put that emphasis might depend on the day, the time, the situation, maybe. But let's keep doing what we can. Yeah, absolutely. And hooray for plugs. Yeah. So if you haven't been, it's fantastic. Really looking forward to this special Christmas event. Just again to connect with people around the country, around the world, in worship on Sunday afternoon. So I encourage you to get there. Right. Oh, some of which bit of you, Tim, may emerge at some point. But Matthew Forsyth is front of camera. All we can's answer to Graham Norton. Oh, now I've got visions of him guest starring in Father Ted as well. Oh, dear me. Oh, good Lord. And getting lost in the lingerie department. Was he in that one? The Christmassy Ted, where they all went shopping and they got stuck in the sort of perfume and lingerie, all these priests with collars on, stuck in the lingerie department of a department store. Oh, brilliant. Oh, dear. Oh, wow. Stephen, you're working nights on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Well, big love to you, and I fully intend to be on here on both those nights. So hopefully we might be able to catch up and hang out at some point during that, so that wherever we are still supporting each other and together, as well as knowing that we're with God as well. Yes, he was in that episode. Thank you, Stephen. I hadn't gone completely doolally. I thought for a minute I'd raised an ecumenical matter, but we're okay. Good. Thank you. Yes, it is quality. I think like that and Rev, and to a lesser extent, but pretty close, the Vicar of Dibley, are not comedy programs. They are simply documentaries about the church. Ah, dear. Anyway, let's offer all of our prayers, as we say, and share together in these words.
To the one in whom all people and all creation have their being, may your kingdom come, your will be done, as above, so below. Sustain us for this day. Show us grace as we seek to show grace to those we feel have wronged us. Save us from the worst that is within us and within this world. For the kingdom, the power, and the glory are yours, now and forever. Amen.
Amen. Oh, right. News from Stephen. There's a new Vicar of Dibley episode on this Christmas. Fantastic. There we are. Metal Compline for all your metal, prayer, way of life, and Christmas television watching needs. We are a public service broadcaster. Yes, absolutely. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yes, pray for Louise having those test results tomorrow. Yep. Amen. Amen. And peace for whatever those results are. Thank you, Leslie. And a lovely wave from Joyce. Thank you, Joyce. I'm not sure if Wayne's still in. He may wave back all the way from where he is on the coast. It's just some blisters and others. Now the notices. So, as previously mentioned last night, in just over an hour and 3/4, over at www.gimmemetal.com, Colin from Witch Hazel will be hosting a DJ set. Lots of classic metal will be there. Oh, Pete's getting his Christmas list in. Yes, new AC/DC album. Yes, I had a quick listen, and yes, it's an AC/DC album, absolutely. But I thought particularly the first song was slightly a development musically, but something slightly different in terms of production values and things. But no, me too. That's on my Christmas list. So do pop in if you can to support Colin at 10 o'clock tonight. Even if you put it on your headphones and fall asleep to some awesome metal tunage, that'd be good to support him. And just to say, next week we have not one, not two. Yes, we do have two. Not one, but two guests, a bit like this week, actually. And we also have, as part of that, the play of a brand new single. So we're going to play that next week. Very, very excited about that. So again, if you are kind of watching and if you haven't commented, you want to comment and say hi, that's absolutely fine. But if you are into metal, if you are making kind of rock, metal, punk, goth, doom, whatever kind of heavy music, and you want to talk about that, and you want to talk about faith or even the music or what motivates you, even if you're not a person of faith, very happy to chat to you, very happy to kind of see what we can sort out. Yes, I know. Thank you, Matthew. Yeah. Oh, not one, but two. Mr. Ambassador, with these guests, you are spoiling us. No Ferrero Rocher shall be eaten, or seagull hats worn. I'm going to have to buy a seagull hat now. I'm going to have to find a seagull hat. Oh, I bet there is one. Anyway, so yes, so look forward to that, especially the play on here of a brand new single coming out next week, and we're going to be playing it. How exciting is that? So before we sway, let us send each other to, encouraged by Wayne tonight and encouraged by Ian last night, to continue being who we are in God, and to, with that reading and that thought from Leslie, just looking at how who we are in God can be a light to others as we accept that Christ light from others through all that we are experiencing during these times. But whilst also being open to the new and exciting things that maybe God is enabling and calling us to join in with, being particularly inspired by the examples that Wayne has shared. And big love to all those who are blessed to live on the sea and do a daily gauntlet of avoiding seagull poop. We pray for you, and we send each other with these words. May the peace of the All-Parent be ours this night, and with all people and all creation in the time that is to come. Well, I can't believe we've been going for nearly an hour and a half and people are still here. That's amazing. Thank you. Bless you. That's either very kind or you're clearly doing something else whilst having left your phone on. Both of which is fine by me. But thank you as always for your company. Hello, if you're watching it on replay. It's really good to have you here as well. And may you know rest and peace and refreshment this evening. And may you rise tomorrow with Christ to be someone of light and hope and love through who you are and how you live tomorrow. Go well. Sisters and brothers, let us sway